Last night I was having a conversation with a gentleman who's about to become a first-time home buyer. We were going over his goals and expectations for the entire process, and he brought up this idea of down payment. He told me, Nick, I'm seeing all of this conflicting advice online about down payment. Can you help me figure this out? So let me walk through the process I walked him through, and maybe you can glean something out of it as well. Just want to preface this conversation by saying I had already spoken with him about his ability and means. He'd made a lot of really good choices and can essentially afford as much as a 20% down payment in really any loan program out there. If you have more than 3% saved up for a down payment and have a credit score at least in the mid 700s, then this conversation is probably relevant to you. So everyone's heard 20%. 20% is the default down payment, but why? Nobody ever explains the why. Well, let me tell you, it's because of private mortgage insurance. And if it sounds like a scam, it's because it basically is. So anytime you put less than 20% down on a property, that lender is going to put you into a higher risk classification that requires you to go to a separate third party and pay typically hundreds of dollars a month for private mortgage insurance, which you're correct, it really doesn't do anything other than insulate the original lender from the potential loss of your default. So I'm sure you can see why some people love avoiding private mortgage insurance, and putting 20% down or more is the only way to really do that. Now, private mortgage insurance does utilize a sliding scale to determine how high risk you are. So a 15% down payment is better than a 5% down payment, just like an 800 credit score is going to be better than a 700 credit score, and we'll keep that private mortgage insurance at least lower, but you can't get out of it without at least 20% down. So basically 20% is the default, and then we're going to work backwards from there, looking at two things. The first thing we're going to look at by working that backwards from 20% is, do you have a better plan for using that money? So if you put 5% down instead of 20% down, what would you do with that other 15%? Because if you have that in an S&P index and it's earning 11, 12% a year, you might want to keep it there because that offsets your interest rate. But if you don't have a clear plan in place, or you don't have enough assets to go and grow it separately, then let's keep it at the 20%. So for him, no clear plan in place, like the idea of investing, but couldn't figure out a strategy to get over 7% on his money each year consistently right now, which would kind of be that baseline. So we're still at this 20% default from him, but there's one more factor we have to look at, which is peace of mind. Murphy's Law says within the first month of you buying your first home, something terrible is going to go wrong. So we better walk in with a bank account prepared for that. So the question becomes, is putting 20% down going to jeopardize your financial security? Because you're just scraping out the bank account. You're not going to be able to afford even a $1,000 emergency. That's a recipe for disaster. In this situation, he has the 20% down and still has a healthy savings account in case an emergency did come up. So working through that process, 20% down absolutely made sense for him, and that's the option we're going to go with. If you like stuff like this, give me a follow for more data-driven real estate content. If you have a more specific real estate question, feel free to drop it in the comments or shoot me a DM. If it's a cool enough topic, I might even do a video about it, but I'll definitely get you a reply either way. And good luck out there.